Well, no, this is just audio live. As soon as we're audio live? Okay, good. So right now, if you're on Facebook and YouTube, you're seeing a screen that says we're going to start in a minute or something like that. But I had him start up the audio because so many people say, look, they stopped the audio. No, we're going to start in about 5 minutes. Okay, typically immediately at 7 o'clock California time. And so I take this moment in the next few minutes to remind my audience that there's two versions to this. One is the censored version, okay, that you can't ask questions about the Voldemort vaccine, you can't ask questions about masking, social distancing, Brandon, or any of those things. You can't mention any of that. Don't give me that look, because I just did mention it. Okay, but in the regular portion, we're going to be covering a lot of cool stuff. Okay, and this is going to be disease reversal and youth restoration. And it's literally basic. Like if you want the Cliff Note version, if you build cells faster than they break down, it's called health. You break down faster and you build up, that's called a lack of ease or a disease. So we're just going to change that and build the cells faster and then we break down. Okay, and this has to do with some secrets that aren't really secrets. Oh. Anybody want to know where the jumping jack came from? No? Okay. I won't tell you then. No, I always thought it was named after Jack LaLanne, but it wasn't. It was by General Pershing. And this guy was like old school, like Spanish-American War. And he thought that our soldiers, if they had a fitness program, that they would function better. And so it's kind of cool. There wasn't a lot of fitness training in the 1800s for soldiers, you know, because I mean, you figure farm guys that are going to pick up a rifle, you get a farm guy from the 1800s, that guy is rock hard or organic, you know, these guys are bulletproof when they start. Yeah, and now conditioning is probably important. So, but Jack LaLanne popularized it, but he didn't invent it. I thought that was interesting. I know. That's why I love doing the research. I mean, the talks, it does take up a lot of time doing a lot of research, but it's just really cool. Because the more you learn, the more you find out that you don't know it. You don't know it all. There's always some nuance or something that you can get better and better and better. And that's like, I mean, research is like a drug. I mean, I just want to keep learning. Huh?
We're never done learning.
Never done learning. If a master says, yes, I got it down, you know he doesn't have it down.
1 minute.
Oh, we got 1 minute. Victor, the totalitarian, yes, the Hitchcock act-alike, where he treated all his actors like cattle, yes. I don't take offense to that at all. Did you get the cattle sound? Okay, just checking. Yep. Thank goodness I waited for you, but...
Couldn't get him going. Tried and tried.
Go, ready? Welcome to True Health Tuesday, and the truth will set you free. Free, okay, I like this quote from John F. Kennedy. Now, listen to this. A nation that is afraid to let its people judge the truth and falsehood in an open market is a nation that is afraid of its people. Welcome to America 2020, 2021, and 2022. Okay? If you can't have a discussion where subject matter can be held in the furnace of debate, if it can't withstand that, and that some things are too scary for others, that actually is a control issue. It's not an information issue. Now, this is the list of the videos that have been censored the last few weeks. And so when we talk about the censorship, it's real. So subscribe to our channel if you can, the Dr. B VIP site. If you are subscribing, share this information because God knows how long it's going to be on. If you're on YouTube and Facebook Live now, there's going to be the full edited version on in about a week. Please subscribe and share. We've been shadow banned, which means that even though we have 700-something thousand subscribers, it's going out to less than half of them, okay? And I don't even think that many. And so get this information out. It's vital. And all those that you are supporting the Dr. B VIP site, enjoy, because the second half is going to be butt kicking. Now, Extreme Health Academy, this is a group of people. I'm with them just about every week answering questions or doing a webinar. Fantastic. If you have any health issues, sign up with them, and you're going to find out some amazing results. What are your goals? Okay, so when we're talking about disease reversal and restoration of health, are you thinking like when you're 70, 80, 90, you're in a wheelchair? Because I've got to tell you, if you see these assisted living centers, at 4 o'clock after they fed them, then they drug them, then they wheel them in the hall, and you get lines of people in these things that aren't moving anymore. Their brains aren't working and their body's not working. And I got to tell you, that is not how human beings are meant to live. Human beings are dynamic, adaptive. And you find the human species from the Arctic to the desert and everywhere in between. It's amazing. Now, there's a picture of a yoga instructor. I think she is over 90 there, 95. But just for the heck of it, Google yoga instructors, oldest yoga instructors in the world, and you'll see 100, 105, 103, 95. Why? Because they're moving. So let's look at this. Now, your body has these little power packs. They're called mitochondria. Okay, and they're absolutely amazing. This is where your body gets the energy. Figure, your body is a protein-producing machine. Where do those proteins come from? The cells. How do the cells get the energy to produce this? From the mitochondria. Now, anything that negatively affects the mitochondria negatively affects you. So let's look at this. How would you like to see medication-induced mitochondrial damage? Now, every medication, do you know anybody that's suffering from a lack of medication? You know, John, you're new here, but you're just not taking enough drugs. Okay. No, he's Brazil. He's cool. Their president freaking rocks, dude. Okay, so medication-induced. Okay, that means that you're taking a chemical that's altering your physiology. This is affecting you on a cellular basis. What kind of diseases are you going to get if you're taking medications? Schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, Alzheimer's, epilepsy, strokes, Parkinson's, transient ischemic attack, cardiac myopathies, heart attacks, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, diabetes, cirrhosis. And what causes this? Virtually every medication. We're looking at psychotropic drugs, cholesterol-lowering drugs, pain-relieving drugs, and many others. It alters how your body functions. Now, this one is crazy because you're talking antidepressants. Now, when the prison planet that we're on, okay, that you're talking depression is really huge. So if you are taking an antidepressant prescribed by a doctor who's trained in the pharmaceutical industry, we know how brilliant those guys are, and you're taking an nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory, guess what? Brain bleed from the British Medical Journal. Now, this was 7 years ago. 4,145,000 people, first hospital admission with intracranial hemorrhage. When your brain bleeds inside of the skull, that's bad. Okay, now the right drug at the right time, at the right dosage, for the right condition, and this is about 2015, kills 130,000 people a year. That's not an overdose. In fact, the right drug at the right time and the right doses is 5 times the amount of drug overdoses, okay, including heroin. This was a great one out of EPUB, 2014. Our prescription drugs are killing us. Prescription drugs are the 3rd leading cause of death in America. Now, what's the first? No, it's not COVID. That was funny. Okay, no, cancer, heart disease, medical care. Okay, those are the top 3. Now, it happens to be the prescriptions after heart disease and cancer. Now, half of those who die have taken their drugs correctly. Now, you're talking, think of that. Now, major reasons why the deaths are impotent drug regulations. This means that have you heard of Vioxx? Okay, it killed more people in the Vietnam War. Supposed to be a pain reliever. Have you heard that? Did anyone go to jail for that? No. Were the studies supportive of the claims? No. And when you're looking at like fentanyl, if you're looking at the opioids, these were presented as non-addictive. Okay, so when we talk about impotent drug regulations, that's huge. Now, so how do we get older and stronger? How do we maintain vitality? What's the number one leading indicator of your body decline or your body health? Muscle mass. Now, why would muscle mass be a predictor? Well, for one, if you're not using your body, is your heart getting worked? Probably not. Okay? If you can't build strong muscles, guess what that means? That means that you're in a stress state, you're producing less stomach acid, so your body literally doesn't have the amino acids from the protein. So that means your digestion is trashed. So when you look at muscle mass, this means your body is literally able to build healthy cells. And if you move this, you're going to get a healthy brain. So it makes so much sense. But listen to this article. Obesity, as defined by the body mass index, has not been associated with consistently higher mortality in older adults. However, total body mass includes fat and muscle, which have different metabolic effects. This study was designed to test the hypothesis that greater muscle mass in older adults is associated with lower all-cause mortality. Why would it be all-cause? Well, look, you're building muscle. That means you're working. That means you're probably getting your brain function. You're getting enough nutrients to your body can assimilate those nutrients. It makes sense. This study demonstrates the survival predication ability of relative muscle mass and highlights the need to look beyond total body mass in assessing the health of older adults. We've got one doc here, Dr. Drake, okay? Built guy, right? Okay, with his body mass, he's in the obesity file. I know, it's nuts. Now let's look at this. We have an automatic nervous system, because when we're talking about reversing disease and restoring youth, restoring health, this automatic nervous system, one part keeps you alive under stress. The other part regenerates tissue. But we need a balance. And you're going to see here on the left, sympathetic dominant. That means blood supply to the gut shut down. Okay, why? Because its blood is going to the arms and legs so you can run away. Then in the center, we're seeing a normal adaptation, and that's how people got to be. You got to be able to rest at night and be awake during the day. If you're in a low-functioning parasympathetic, that means you are not regenerating healthy tissue. So your automatic nervous system is huge, and there's certain muscles that control it. Now, so think of this. And again, we're talking about mitochondrial. This is the powerhouses of your body that produce the proteins and the genes that make your body alive. They're the ones that produce the skin cells. They're the energy that produces the blood cells that are brand new every 120 days. So this is how your body regenerates it. And those mitochondria are negatively affected by almost all medications. So if you have been diagnosed with high blood pressure, does anybody think that high blood pressure is from not enough medications? No, that's foolishness. So it's from stress. And there's only three. There's physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. Anybody think inflammatory bowel disease is genetic or hereditary? Because that's what the medical doctors say. How about this? How about stress? If you're in a chronic stress state, you got decreased blood supply to the gut. Fibromyalgia? Okay, what's the official cause of that? Unknown. I'm not going to take my car to a mechanic that doesn't know what's wrong with it, let alone a human body. Well, I don't know what's wrong with it, but here, take this. It might work. Okay, high cholesterol. What's the function of cholesterol? 50% of your weight in your brain is cholesterol. You need cholesterol for every hormone you produce. Breast cancer, knowing that it affected about 1 to 2% of the population 100 years ago, now we're getting about half our population with certain types of cancer. Do you think it's genetic? No, genes haven't changed in thousands of years, let alone 100. ADHD, that's a dysfunction of the frontal lobe. Menstrual cycles, do you think that we're exposed to endocrine disruptors that are like hormones? Multiple sclerosis, erectile dysfunction, low back and neck pain. I mean, think of the condition. If you've got neck pain, low back pain, does anybody think it's from not enough drugs? Or you gotta get a shot back there? No, that's stupid. Okay, wait, not stupid. It's not smart. Okay, I was told that I shouldn't call people stupid. Okay, even though they're trained by the pharmaceutical industry and doing dumb stuff. Okay, you have 3 types of muscles: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Skeletal muscle is arm and leg muscles, okay? Smooth muscle, that's basically all the organs that you have. Cardiac muscle, this is amazing. This baby starts pumping when you're inside your mom and keeps going for the next 120 years. Never stopping, unless you see that certain someone that stops your heart. Yeah, okay, guys, I was found out Valentine's Day is coming up. Pay attention. Yeah. Now, smooth muscle, okay, hugely important. Smooth muscle is controlled underneath that autonomic function. Now, this governs digestion, and this is how you break down, assimilate, and form nutrients. This is in your lungs, so when you breathe and out, when you breathe in through the nose, you bronchodilate. So that smooth muscle is hugely important. Now, what I would always tell, and this is when I was teaching the students, I'd say, do you want to relax a muscle in order to have the body accept that adjustment? You know, they're all going, oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, you'd kill the person, because for every 1 inch of forward head carriage, the pressure on the disc double. So if you have a posture anomaly like this, where a body is trying to distort that posture in order to maintain their integrity, okay, and these muscles are screaming to try and put it back, and you relax those, which way does the head fall? Bam, further forward. So find out why it's working. Now, here's a test question. What kind of muscles are involved in breathing? Skeletal or smooth? Say both. Both! Oh my gosh, that's so true. Okay, so we got the diaphragm, that's the skeletal muscle, and the smooth muscle in the lungs. Yeah, but nasal diaphragmatic breathing is huge. Why? Because we're talking about reversing disease and regenerating the body. So if you're just sitting around, reading, watching TV, exercise, do the nasal diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, all throughout the day. It's going to help your brain, help everything. Now, muscles, skeletal muscles, you've got all these actin and myosin filaments that are touching. And the more that they're touching, the stronger they are. And you can demonstrate this right now. So I'm going to extend the actin and myosin filaments in my arm. Okay? Is it real strong there? No. You shorten it, those actin and myosin filaments get shorter and closer, so it's way stronger. So what we want to do is work as much muscle and save the joints. Does that make sense? Because if we're going to be exercising and figure I'm over 60, I'm 61 now, I'm going to be 62 in a couple of months, and I'm going to keep exercising the rest of my friggin' life. My buddy who's 87 exercises 5 days a week. Okay, I know, why doesn't he work out 6? I know. Maybe he likes to study. But the more actin and myosin filaments that you have connected, the better it is. Now, you've got two things that work with muscles. One is a concentric contraction. That's the muscle shortening. The other is the eccentric contraction of the muscle lengthening. So when you're doing this, you get more work of that muscle opening up. So when you have a weight, okay, now let's say you're doing just weights. If you're having this weight with your arm extended and then you're bending it, you can damage that joint. So if you're doing a curl, I'm going to bend this down to 90 degrees, and that way the muscle is attached. Now, if you're working this where one's going up and one's going down, you're getting both halves of the brain. But now let's do it even harder. Slow and deliberate. Slow and deliberate. So when you're doing that, you're going to save your joints, work the muscles better, and you're going to build better. So now, slow and heavy. Now, if you're doing this at a gym, okay, you're going to be blown away. Because you can go in there, and just an average person can start maxing this out. Because even a bench press, one that you're normally starting here with those actin myofilaments stretched, that's not going to work. You go from here to here and then back down. So slowly up. and you're going to have so much strength because most of that muscle is engaged, and you're activating that muscle, and you're getting that workout, and you're breathing. Fantastic. It actually works way better than anything you could possibly do. Now, when you want good form or bad form? Say good. Yeah, I know. Okay, so now think of the Olympic weightlifters. You need a lot of power going to your arms. So do they exercise like this? No. You're choking off the blood supply, nerve supply to this thoracic outlet. So what they do, they lift their chin up, get ready. Yeah! Okay, because that opens up the blood supply, nerve supply, so you got good oxygen flowing to the tissue. Now, joints. I like exercising the joints the way they are, not straight out, not to the end range. Nobody lifts like that. Nobody. I mean, think 2,000 years ago. You know, some people will say, well, you lifted wrong. Okay? Look, you and me, we go hunting 2,000 years ago. You make a great shot on an ibex. I think, man, good shot, buddy. Do I say, be careful, don't lift and turn? No, you already know. You shorten the muscles, you get underneath it, you pick it up, you know, and you're able to move it. I mean, it's just common sense. But the joints, and this is one of the best ones, is the rotator. Okay, what you want to do, look at our shoulder health video. You have a great weight, drop it down, and it's just a pendulum. You're just doing a leg swinging like that, but you got to restore the curve of the neck. Resistance versus aerobic. Resistance, always do first. So that way you've got tons of glucose there, tons of glucose. And this is what your body uses for fast energy. And you're lifting it. Okay, then aerobic second. Now, why is this important when we're talking about regeneration? Because it increases angiogenesis, that's blood vessel formation. Neurogenesis, that's nervous system formation. Synaptogenesis, that's connection between the nervous systems. And the synthesis of neurotransmitters, that's how your brain produces. That's how your brain communicates, okay? So when you look at this exercise starts to regenerate your body and your brain and your immune system. It's like, God, that makes sense. And so does that mean that if you want to be healthy as you age, this has to be your new job? It does. Now, memory, is that important? Yeah. Okay, well, you've got, every time you move, you get this information going up into the brain that's attached to the cerebellum, and that cerebellum controls the frontal lobe. So that's anxiety, stress, impulse control. Also, reversing hippocampal volume. So this means that the structures inside of the brain, if you're exercising and breathing, they get better. It turns out that this is actually good for you. But also increases oxygen to your brain, exercise, releases accumulated toxins, and increases the nutrients. Now, you're going to see a lot of people getting human growth hormone injections, okay, typically in Hollywood. Now, that's a synthetic thing that has a side effect of developing bad stuff like cancers. How would you like to tap into your own HGH, human growth hormone? I like doing that. Interval training. Now, what's fun is, we're going to go over this, but high intensity interval training, 771% increase. Now, what is human growth hormone that you produce, that you don't have to buy, that your body already produces because your body's built by God and this is friggin' quality? Muscle growth, fat burning, strength, longevity, anti-aging, healing, growth, repair. Is this how you restore that youth and reverse disease? Yes or yes? Okay, yeah. So the interval training. Now, one thing I got at home is a heavy bag, okay? And if you're working at this thing for 30 seconds, okay, 30 seconds, it's a long 30 seconds. And then you relax for 90 seconds, okay? You could do deep breathing, oxygen, and then you go back 30 seconds as hard as you can. Then you relax and deep breathe for 90 seconds. Then I'm telling you, it is a hell of a workout. Okay, particularly if you're doing it correctly. And high interval training is amazing. But do whatever you can. If you're just starting a program, okay, I recommend seeing a corrective chiropractor, getting your nervous system working correctly. But you can start just by, I mean, I've got patients in wheelchairs, and they started just by deep breathing. Bouncing, trampolines, fantastic. The jumping jack, okay, was popularized by Jack LaLanne, but invented by General Pershing. Okay, we have 2 trampolines here. Why? Because when you're doing this, you're increasing and decreasing pressure of that nervous system. So just bouncing around will help you generate bone, it'll help you generate lymph. It's fantastic, and it's fun to do. Now, office workers, the majority of people are sitting at home with this. If you're swinging a golf club, the pressure on the L5-S1 disc increases 8 times normal. If you're sitting, the pressure increases 5 times normal. Okay, so we don't know about this. And this is why we give exercises to turn sitting into therapy. But what happens? Office workers, carpal tunnel syndrome, that's a double crush injury beginning in the neck. And all of these things, nobody has carpal tunnel syndrome because they don't have enough surgery. Nobody has headaches because they don't have enough medication. So we have to change this world. Now, how do you survive that? You got to move. If you don't move a joint, and think of this, if you are sitting, staring at a computer for an hour, okay, you're not feeling the joints in your body. But if you have your arm bent like this for an hour, guess what's going to happen? God, I can't stand it. Okay, you want to straighten it, stretch it, move it, so that joint starts to become healthy. So you have to move your body. Get moving every hour if you have an office job. Drink plenty of water, stretch, move. We have 2 exercises that we give every office worker. One is a foam roll to increase and decrease the pressure of their lumbar and thoracic spine, and the other is a neck curve exercise. So we keep people moving. Also, these are some good exercises too. If you're staring like this, you're losing the curve in your neck. So if you just take a break a few times, put your elbows on your desk, thumbs underneath, lift it up, and deep breathe. That will start to help the curve in the back. Okay, now, telomeres, biologic age and chronologic age. Okay, so how old are you? Okay, my brain, I think I'm like 35, 40 years old. Okay, my time on the planet's been about 62 years. Okay, so, but what's the difference? Okay, how can you tell your chronologic age? Because you all know people in their 30s that look 50. You know people in their 60s and 70s that look 30. Okay, it's telomeres. Telomeres is the amount of replications, of copies that you can get off of your proteins. Okay, and it's huge. So if your telomeres are long, you can get a lot of copies. You get a lot of copies, that means you can reproduce your cells healthy. Does that make sense? So short telomeres associated with decrease in bone mineral density, short telomeres, increased aging. Okay, now here's a case study that took a patient that had a traffic accident, and they measured her telomeres. And what did they do? They did corrective chiropractic, 36 visits. She had bedwetting, bowel and bladder control. She had radiating pain. She had a bunch of problems after a very, very severe trauma. But what did they find? Patients' telomere length and heart rate variability showed improvement from a health risk to within normal limits. This increased telomere length and improved dysautonomy. Dysautonomy means the automatic nervous system, the nervous system that controls everything in your body that you don't need to think about. It's now working better. It's working correctly. It's more normal after a physical trauma. Is that wild? So changing after a trauma, you get the trauma corrected, and then your body can adapt and survive and thrive on the planet better. Does that make sense? Okay? I'm talking slow because this is such basic common sense that is completely missing in our society. So this is a normal curve in the neck, normal. So let's look at criminals. And this is a crime. This is 1961. What you're looking at on this is a reversal of the curve in the neck. To get a trauma bad enough to reverse the curve in the neck, you had to have torn a ligament, the posterior longitudinal ligament. Now, what is the therapy for this in 1961? Same as it is today, drugs or surgery, or you find a chiropractor and they actually correct it. 63, they didn't correct it. Now, what we're seeing here is massive degeneration at C6, C7 there, and that's enough degeneration that this trauma has been there more than 10 years. So that means for 10 years, this person has had a neck trauma. Now, does that put you in a healthy autonomic state or a stress state? Stress state, right? Okay, so does that mean poor digestion or good digestion? Poor digestion. So think of this. So 10 years this person's been hurt, and they go to the doctor and they get an x-ray and the doctor says, wow, you have advancing degeneration. I'm not going to send you to a corrective chiropractor. We're just going to drug you. Okay, 1965, we're seeing the degeneration progress up the spine. Now, this is about 15 years after the first trauma, because now we know, even though it took them till they got to the doctor at 1961, they're showing evidence of trauma more than 10 years. 90% of the nerves that come off the spine, there's no pain fibers. So when people come in and they say, Doc, man, my neck hurt like hell this weekend, but it feels so much better. Bob, you're not moving your friggin' neck, okay? 68, now we're seeing that degeneration progress up. The bone spurs are getting larger because there's a lack of stability there. Now, how many years past the initial trauma? 15, 20 years? 15, 20 years of stress when this thing could still be corrected? No, now 1972. Now we're seeing it progress up to the next level massively. Okay, now this is the nerve that comes out of there that supplies the diaphragm. So they transferring oxygen, good or poor? Poor. We're seeing a destruction of a human being that is designed to rebuild on this planet because of ignorance promoted by the pharmaceutical industry and taught by doctors and the public like it was God, like it was chiseled down in friggin' stone. 1974, massive degeneration, and this guy still can get corrected. But because that we can have a level playing field where we talk about this, where the medical doctors who are caring people, they love it, but they're taught an incorrect protocol of symptom drug, symptom chemical. They're not taught that you could reverse arthritis, you could regenerate the disc. They're not taught that. 1975, that's just horrible, horrible, horrible. Okay, now here's a patient that came in. Gymnastics, years ago, 36 years old, okay? That's a reverse curve in the neck. They did a ganglion nerve block. Okay, so think of this. The doctor probably took an x-ray, said, well, miss, you have a reverse curve in your neck. I'm going to take a needle and put it in your spine and deaden those nerves. Now, this is common for chronic regional pain syndrome, CPRS. Okay, it's common for fibromyalgia. It's common for neck and shoulder pain. And guess what? It helps sometimes. I know what you're thinking about. No, it didn't help. You deaden the person's awareness. The problem was still there. It's still going to progress. They're going to be miserable. And the doctor doesn't have the knowledge base to say, hey, look, go fix it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, we're going to change this world. So when we put up the 5 keys to health, there's the 5 keys to regenerate, there's the 5 keys to reverse degeneration, and the only way you can do it is by taking charge of your health now. Okay? You need correct nerve supply. You need regular exercise. Why? Because if you move these joints, they get strong. They do. Oh my goodness. You need proper nutrition because you got to have the raw materials to regenerate the tissue. You need sufficient rest. Why? Because that's when your body regenerates. I had a patient yesterday. I got to sleep with the TV on. Okay, well, you're never going to regenerate. That's one of the contributing factors. Okay. Do you want me to fix you? Yeah, okay, you got to take my advice. Okay. Prayer and meditation. Gee, I don't know. How often should you do that? How often should you exercise? How often should you eat right? You think daily? Yeah, good idea. Okay, I think it's a good idea. So it seems too simple. It seems too simple because you've been taught a lie that this runs in your family, that everybody has bunions or everybody has this. Okay, check back in history and see your great-great-great-great-grandmother. Now, granted, she was eating nothing but healthy and organic. She never had a lot of drugs, okay, unless that wagon, the snake oil salesman would come by. Okay, now we got snake oil salesmen on every corner. They're called pharmacies. Okay, but she probably was healthy. Okay, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So we are going to enter into a world, like John F. Kennedy said, if the country that you're in is afraid of having what you're saying in the public forum, that they're afraid of you, we're going to bring up some fearful data now. So God bless you, YouTube and Facebook viewers. Please share this information and data. When I say that this is vital, if you've already seen this, baby, you know this is vital. So, and normally I kind of cheat and I go onto the first slide, except the first slide here is, no, it would probably get us kicked off. So see you later, see you next week, and I think you're really going to like next week's show. That one's